You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the weekly Keep Canada Weird discussion series. If you're new here, Keep Canada Weird is the venue in which my pal Aaron Airport and I seek out and explore the more offbeat Canadian news stories from the past week. In tonight's episode, which we recorded on the evening of May 14th, 2023, Aaron and I doubled down on our commitment to Keep Canada Weird by discussing the people who are and are not hot for teacher. We're going to talk about some ashes found in a garden in Barrie. We'll break down the disturbing story of Kaitlyn Braun, the alleged doula duper. And we'll end with a battle between a landlord and a tenant over some toy cars. So let's get into it. Handsome Aaron Airport. It's Mother's Day of all days to be doing this. I never even thought we should plan a Keep Canada Weird Mother's Day special. But we didn't.
No, we're inconsiderate individuals.
Yeah, I was too busy spending the day with my mother. Did you get some time to see your lovely mom?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I went by to visit my mother. Me and my sisters, we all went splits on a gift for her.
What is it? What was it?
Oh man, it wasn't cool. It was like you know, when your parents hit a certain age, you start buying them gifts that are appropriate for seniors, you know?
Yeah.
So this was like a gardening bench that my mom designed for seniors, where you can sit on it, you can lean up on it, and it's like designed for gardening, so you can adjust the height and everything. So it's to help seniors garden, and that's what we went splits on. Plus I got her some nice fresh homegrown honey from River Bourgeois, and
it sounds amazing. But I think what she probably enjoyed the most out of all of it was getting to see you and your siblings, right?
Yeah, I guess I changed a guitar string for her on her guitar while I was there. She has a nylon string guitar that I got her for Christmas a couple of years ago, and she refuses to learn how to change the strings. So whenever I show up, it's like, oh, I got a broken string, and then I have to sit there and change her strings for cling, 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 and they're nylon strings, so you have to like tie them at the bottom.
Yeah, it's a real pain. Come on, Mom, get real. Only on Mother's Day will you do that.
Yeah, I'll never, and not even Christmas will I do it. Just Mother's Day.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, let's get into it. I'd love to talk about your mom all night, but we have.
Would you?
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Yeah, that's a weird thing to say to someone. I would talk about your mother all night long if I could.
Forget I said that.
Yeah, I already have.
Tonight we got a busy card. We have a lot of voice memos to start. We're going to get into them first, but our topics are going to be, and the title of this episode will be Not Everyone is Hot for Teacher, The Ashes in the Garden, the story of Kaitlyn Braun, and the landlord versus tenant toy car dispute. So I didn't have a theme for this episode. I guess the theme for this episode will be stories interspersed by voice memos. Because again, last week we called out for our listeners to come forward with their thoughts, their criticisms, their feedback, their opinions, and oh man, they delivered. We're up to our We're up to our eyeballs in it.
Yeah, we opened Pandora's box. And out come all the weirdos.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get into some of the weirdos now. So you remember last week we talked about the cat in a box from China. For whatever reason, that struck a nerve. We got a lot of opinions on that. So let's just jump right into them. Here, I want to share some thoughts some listeners had about the cat in the box from China.
Okay.
Hello, Aaron and Jordan. My name is Emma. I'm calling from Massachusetts. I hope you guys are having a very weird day. And I'm calling in regards from the precious cargo cat story that was shipped in a box, because I have my own little theory on it. But to preface, I am not a cat person. I am very much a dog person. I have a very big Rottweiler mix at my house, and she is my little princess. So, Aaron, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you have cats. or a cat, a singular cat. And Jordan, you have kids, which is similar to having animals, I guess. And my theory about the cat story, about Miss Precious Cargo, is that my coworkers tell me all the time that cats love boxes, that they like to be in boxes and they like to sleep in boxes. So what I assumed happened is that this person in China was packaging something to their Canadian friend, and the cat went to take a little cat nap in the box, or went to go play in the box with all the things. And this owner didn't realize while the cat is catnapping in the box, and sealed it up and shipped it out. And I believe that this person in China is very sad and misses their cat. I hope so. Because otherwise that would break my entire heart that this cat was shipped in a box. Because I don't think anybody could be that stupid. But besides that, FredX is a great name. A great name, Erin. Good job. You know, that was a smart one. That was a very good one. I appreciated it. And, you know, Jordan, I hope you're doing great. And keep on keeping Canada weird, you guys. Thank you.
I don't know how we didn't think of that. When I listened to Emma's voice memo, I was our thought was, when we were doing the talk last week, was someone intentionally mailed the cat. But yeah, like cats notoriously climb in and hide out and play in boxes. I just can't imagine a cat being such a heavy sleeper or something that it hid in a box, fell asleep, and didn't wake up and flip out when its owner was like taping said box up. You know, cats.
Yeah, I know
possible.
cats. Yeah. Yeah, Emma. Yeah, I think that's a creative theory. I unfortunately have to strongly disagree with it, but I agree that like cats do love boxes, but when you're packing up a box to mail it, you're gonna know there's a cat inside.
You would think, right? Even just the weight, you move it, it's like,
Even just the weight, and yeah. So, and when a cat goes in a box, I guess some of them do sleep in it, but cats get very rambunctious in boxes. So when they get in there, they like to, twirl around and chase their tail in it. And yeah, so although I think it's an interesting theory, I think there's a lot of creativity to it. I ultimately have to stamp it as completely stupid and wrong. So
right.
that's the stamp I use on Emma's theory. But
wow.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think Emma's, I took offense when she said that she was a dog person, and I started to get riled up, because I love all animals.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was writing down a lot of the kind of things I was going to say to Emma at the end of this voicemail. Like I was jotting them down furiously. And then she liked my FredX name. So then I was like, oh, okay, I'll put my list.
Did you like scratch out your list?
I just scratched it out and said save for someone else who calls about cats and dogs.
Well, this is a voice memo about the cat story from Nikki, and it's a little over my head, but I did some Googling and I think I maybe get it, and they may be onto something. Listen to this.
Hi, Jordan and handsome Erin Airport. You've got a loyal North Vancouver listener here, and I just wanted to say I appreciate the levity you bring to all of your episodes. It is something I greatly enjoy, and I was thinking about the cat in the box, and very surprised that neither of you wondered if the box had actually been addressed to Schrodinger. Maybe this was Schrodinger's cat.
So I've heard the term or phrase Schrodinger's cat. Do you know anything about this?
I don't. I know nothing about this. The whole time we've been talking about this, my cat is like wailing in the background, like
weird. She can sense it.
Yeah.
I Googled Schrodinger's cat. I've heard that a million times before, but never thought to figure it out. So Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment that states that if you seal a cat in a box with something that can eventually kill it, you won't know if the cat is alive or dead until you open the box. So until you open the box and observe the cat is simultaneously dead and alive.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Why is that specific to cats either? Can't that be for anything? Like if I put Jordan in a box, with Freddy Krueger, and then open it up later and Jordan both dead and alive, like isn't it the same?
Well, I just hope someone didn't like get into the Schrodinger's cat kind of hypothesis or thought experiment or something.
Yeah, it's a
And
dark one.
yeah, it is a dark one. So I hope that it isn't related to that theory and it isn't Schrodinger's
Hmm.
cat itself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
so yeah, good on Emma and who was it, Nikki?
yeah.
Yeah, for some excellent theories here of trying to get to the bottom of this.
We got some other theories that we'll come to later. We're going to come back to the cats because that's not the last we'll hear of them, and it's certainly not the last we'll hear of voice memos. As I said, I'll kind of intersperse them
Sure.
as we go throughout the
Which is
episode.
appropriate because, as they say, the cat always comes back.
Oh yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get into the first story. This one is exciting. And that pun that was a pun. It's intentional. It's exciting because it involves like adult images and OnlyFans and all these sorts of elements. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
to perverts like you, yes, it would be very exciting. Although I'm a professional, well-respected man of my community, and
You don't even know what I'm
this
talking
type of
about.
topic is very foreign to me. I don't really. I should actually just tap out on it, and I shouldn't. And you handle it, and then bring me back in when we're done.
So this story, it revolves around a teacher's assistant who is being forced to choose between her career as a teacher's assistant and her successful OnlyFans account and I guess like alter ego. I'm going to play you a news story, then we'll talk about it. Here we go.
A Maple Ridge teaching assistant has been told she must remove all her online content or risk losing her job. Her social media presence includes an OnlyFans page with mature content. CTV's Sinjin Alexander has a story and a warning. Some of the images may not be suitable for all viewers.
At a secondary school in the Coquitlam School District, she is known as Kristen McDonald, a teaching assistant. Online, she's Ava James, a content creator, where she's posted pictures of herself on Instagram, TikTok, and in her own words, even spicier content on the subscription service OnlyFans.
Spicy, like there's some nudity for sure.
She's at home these days recovering from surgery. But School District 43 has become aware of these images and has told McDonald they must all come down because her job is on the line.
I'm causing a stir. I'm rustling some feathers. I know there's people that disagree with what I'm doing.
The single mom says she created the OnlyFans site to supplement her income because she doesn't make enough money working as an education assistant. She's been in touch with her union and says she has no intention of taking any of this down.
I mean, you could lose your job over this.
I could.
And you're going to do that?
I am passionate about this argument. Choice, yeah, my body, my choice, you know, and my employer should not be telling me what I can and cannot do with my body. People have this narrative that I'm in a classroom seducing students, and that's just not the case at all.
The school district says it would not comment on the matter despite our request.
It was never my intention to make anyone uncomfortable, but at the same time, I'm not going anywhere, and neither is Ava James.
I'm not going anywhere, and either is Ava James.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, that's like doubling down on it. I don't think she's going to give up. And I'll tell you, I managed to learn a lot about this story because as soon as I heard about this, I'm like, this is a Keep Canada Weird topic. It has to be. I'm going to call her Ava James. I found Ava James on Instagram, and I was like, I'd love to hear your story and get more background than what we hear in the news piece. And we had a nice long talk the other day. That I will be sharing on the Keep Canada Weird podcast feed, and a video version will come out in the future on my YouTube account. But I learned a lot about her background, and ultimately I learned that, yeah, she's not about to back down. She's steadfast in her belief that her, I don't know if you'd say work or career as Ava James, an OnlyFans content creator, does not interfere with her work as Miss McDonald, the teacher's assistant. What do you think of this story?
I agree with her 100%. I mean, I'm going to pose a question to you.
Okay.
After I kind of give my official opinion on this, but I think OnlyFans, you know, you have to be 18 years of age or older to use it.
It's a
That's not the,
subscription. Yeah, I
it's a
also thought.
subscription based,
Yeah, so you don't just stumble
site.
upon naked pictures of her. You're like signing up for an account, linking your credit card, paying.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think like she says, it's her body, it's her choice. Like if anybody, I think anybody who's able to make extra income or their entire income online, like in a legal way, which this is legal, um, should do it. Like, why not? Like, you know, there's people out there that will pay for your product, and you know, you're doing it under your own consent and your own yeah, your own kind of mind, and basically, yeah, go for it. What's to stop you?
Yeah, and I read through the like kind of code of conduct stuff for like government employees and stuff, and it seems like it is a little vague, but in my opinion, when I read through it, it seems like it's okay, but I can understand what she's doing and kind of the taboo associated with it to some people. I could see how maybe the employer would react the way they did, but I think it's this case is especially interesting because she's willing to like live by the sword, die by the sword on the issue, and she's going to fight it. So like it's not like they're going to be able to just fire her and move on. Like there's going to be a fight. So
yeah, and here's what's happening. If she ends up getting fired, she hasn't been fired. She's
no, I
being
think
threatened to be fired.
Where it stands now, there's probably some pretty tough meetings coming up over the next week or two.
So say she does get fired. I mean, she's already received a ton of publicity over this story by breaking this story, coming out with it, saying that, you know, her employer is threatening to terminate her over her OnlyFans account. And if she does get fired, then I mean, she's just going to get so many new subscribers through this.
Certainly.
That she won't need the income at all from her. Like right now, her OnlyFans is supplemental income, but she could easily, probably through the publicity of this story, turn that into her only income that she needs.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. It's great publicity. It's got her face on national news all across Canada. And again, her day job is as a teacher's assistant. We're recording this. We're both in Nova Scotia. I'm in Halifax. Just I think last Tuesday, the same job she has and the same union that's in BC, they just went on strike here in Halifax just last week, mainly around pay. They don't get paid well at all.
No,
and a lot
shocking,
of them, yeah, and a lot of them work second jobs. It could be in the evenings or on the weekends. You're, you know, a waitress or a bartender or something, or you work at a grocery store or Walmart. And you know, you can come up with a list of jobs that in my mind, are as equally as degrading as what Ava James does on OnlyFans. She's at home doing it on her own terms, only doing what she wants. And people like adults that are consenting are sending her money. I think what's the problem? But then again.
Okay, this leads to the question I want to ask you, which is I think where you're going right now. So I don't have kids, so I can't answer this question. I can only hypothetically, you know, put myself into that situation. But you have 2 young boys. So if you found out that a teacher's assistant that worked with your son had an OnlyFans account outside of work, and it was of an erotic nature, how would you feel?
I think I'm a pretty progressive guy. I would be completely fine with it as long as it was separate from the school. If it got to the point where my kids came home, like, Dad, the Miss whatever that helps out in the classroom has this thing. What is this all about? You know, then I'd be like, whoa, like it's, you know, the kids know about it. Something has to happen. But if it's, as long as effort is made to keep it separate from dealing with the kids, it's not like she's there like passing out cards to the kids trying to get them to subscribe to her stuff. It's a completely different thing. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I can sincerely say that.
Yeah, and I like to think if I had kids and I was in that situation, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it either, as long as she's not integrating the two worlds.
Exactly.
As long as it's kept completely separate, and
So-
it's something she does in her own time, and God, it's all power to her to use use her gifts in any way that she wants.
What do you mean by use her gifts?
Oh, it's whatever, everyone's body is a gift from God.
Some more than others.
Well, no, everybody's beautiful in their own way.
Yeah,
That's why
right.
I say anybody who can find subscribers on OnlyFans who want to pay for their content, go for it.
Go get
because
them.
there's a subscriber out there for everybody, and so everybody who wants to make money on OnlyFans selling their content should go for it.
The next story that I'm going to get into is one of the more shocking, bizarre, and twisted stories that I've ever heard of coming out of Canada. I've covered it on the show separately in a multi-part series, but I've got a lot of people asking, you got to do that on Keep Canada Weird. What does Aaron Airport think of this case? This one is out of Ontario, and it involves criminal charges, many of them, being filed against a young woman in Ontario who is accused of faking pregnancies and defrauding doulas into caring for her. It's in the courts now, but the situation just took a weird turn where there's been many more charges filed against this Kaitlyn Braun, the woman behind it. I'm going to play you a short news story. And I don't know, is this story new to you? Do you know anything about what I'm talking
It's
about?
new to me. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, other than what I read earlier.
Buckle up for this one. Here's a news story of the present day where this case is at.
A woman charged with defrauding doulas with stories of false pregnancies appeared in Brantford court this morning for a bail hearing. Let's bring in CTV's Leanne Evans with more details from that. Leanne, Brantford police now say there are at least 10 victims from across Ontario, maybe even more.
That's right, Daryl. And 24-year-old Kaitlyn Braun faces dozens of criminal charges, including harassment, fraud, and sexual assault. She appeared in Brantford court this morning for that bail hearing. There is a publication ban in place, but we can tell you that Braun appeared in court in person this morning. The matter was adjourned until Tuesday, and Braun will remain in custody until then. Police say she sought the help of registered doulas for pregnancies and stillbirths that turned out to be fake. Some of her alleged victims say the experience has been traumatic. Some attending court this morning for Braun's hearing. Many more tell us they watched via Zoom. Again, Braun will remain in custody until Tuesday, March 21st, when she is set to appear in court via video at 9:30 a.m. We'll hear from some of Braun's alleged victims and get their reaction tonight at 5 and 6. Daryl.
Leanne Evans reporting live. Thank you, Leanne.
Would you ever have imagined that there would be someone out there who would fake pregnancies to get attention from registered doulas? And what the allegations against this Kaitlyn Braun involve, like, prolifically seeking out doulas to care for her, to the point that the allegations are that she went as far as to go to hospitals for ultrasounds with doulas, or not ultrasounds, but like to actually give birth with doulas, or like faking pregnancy and having the doulas in her home with her, caring for her. What the heck is going on?
Well, it's a disturbed individual who is into that kind of thing and goes for it. I don't know. I don't know how you get away with it. Like, how is it not discovered early into whatever processes she's going through with these doulas?
Yeah, and it's
that I'm not pregnant. None of this is real. Like, how is it not discovered? Like,
it's completely nuts. And for people who don't know the story, even if you just Google it, you'll find videos of her victims giving, kind of like telling the whole their whole story of like how they met her. Usually it's like Instagram or an email or something. Usually there's a background like, I'm having this baby very soon, and, last minute kind of thing. And it seems like what she wanted was just like, get on the phone with me or come over to my house and help me pretend to give birth. And the charges against her maybe tell a little bit of the story. So she has, and this is interesting, she's facing 4 charges of sexual assault, 17 for criminal harassment, 17 for false pretenses, which I'm not even sure what that is. 7 times she's been charged with fraud under 5,000, and 7 times charged with committing an indecent act. There's 17 victims that actually have charges against her. But when I hear of the sexual assault charges and the committing an indecent act, I can't help but imagine that this is relating to her actually trying to give birth, and maybe there's some nudity or touching or something in this. It's twisted, right?
Oh, it's very twisted, yeah. And I don't know if this is a weird thing to say, but when I saw the picture of her, like, it's not the kind of person you would expect just at first glance to be the perpetrator in these situations, right?
Really? I felt the opposite way. When I saw the picture of Kaitlyn Braun, I thought, whoa, she looks kind of nuts.
She looked to me like somebody who just gets wrapped up in, like, is it perfect to have a phone scam against her or something? Like, she'd have her credit card out in a second, like
easily tricked. She appears easily tricked.
She just looked like, oh, and then this is the person that got scammed, and then they show the picture of her. It's like, that's someone who would be
type.
Scammed. Yeah, that's how I felt when I saw it. I'm like, I just can't. When I look at her, I can't see her going through the lengths that she did to con all these people into thinking that she was pregnant or having a miscarriage or whatever these situations were. It's still like a lot of details I feel like I don't have.
Yeah, well, there's a publication ban which is preventing some of it from coming out, but most of it is out there for people who want to find it. There's videos and prior news articles before the publication ban, but like how the courts are going to handle that is going to be pretty interesting, because it's like I've never heard of anything like that before. Like,
especially the gall and the, like, to fake being pregnant. Like, you only see that in the movies when somebody's trying to, like, have an elaborate, kind of scheme to get out of something, and it's like, and then you're going to pretend to be pregnant, and then you have to go through all this, and it's like, I don't know. How do you do it? How do you do that in real life?
Yeah, and there's a lot of like fetishists out there. I've never heard of what she's been accused of having is what they call a birthing fetish, which is like some kind of attraction to the process of giving birth. If that is true, then that is
right.
What a colorful world.
I can see that with the sexual assault charges, because when I first saw sexual assault, I was like, oh, okay, so what were they doing during if it's a fetish, and it's like, I can see it like that kind of making more sense now, the sexual assault side of the charges. So, but so then that adds a whole other layer to it. Because at first I was like, maybe it's an attention thing, like a bizarre way to get like attention and comfort from other people, like to feel
almost like someone would pretend they're sick or something for like sympathy and attention.
To be nurtured by someone. And that's kind of where my mind went at first, but then when you mention the fetish side of it, it's like, oh wow, like, is anything sacred in this world?
Seriously, like, leave the doulas alone, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
Let's move away from Kaitlyn Braun. That's dark.
I'm sure most people say that when they deal with Kaitlyn Braun. Let's move away from Kaitlyn. Her neighbors are just saying that all the time. We got to move away from her. She's a disaster.
Let's go to UK. We got a listener, Mark, who wants to weigh in on a few topics.
Hi, Jordan and handsome Aaron Airport. I'm Mark from West Oxfordshire in the UK. And like everyone who phones in, I just love Keep Canada Weird. I was so very disappointed by the whole Saltygate affair. I mean, Aaron, you just keep that saltiness going. It's what makes you unique. I love it. But anyway, that's not why I was calling. I've been following your campaign against Tim Hortons, and I just worry that maybe this strategy might be backfiring. Like the millions, of listeners outside of Canada, I'd never heard of Tim Hortons before, stumbling across Keep Canada Weird. But now I'm absolutely fascinated. I need to see what all that fuss is about. And, don't be disappointed, but I'm actually considering driving across the Cotswolds just to visit the nearest branch in Gloucester. Maybe in the upcoming half term. I just need to find out. I mean, what are Timbits, you know? I just got to go and try them. So I guess, you know, what I'm saying is that maybe you're inadvertently contributing to the growth of Tim Hortons. Some conspiracy-minded individuals might even go as far as say that, you know, that's been the plan all along, and maybe Keep Canada Weird is kind of a front for, you know, the international marketing team at Tim Hortons. Now, you know, I don't think that, but people believe all sorts of crazy stuff nowadays. Anyway, just putting that out there. I hope you guys are well. Keep the show going. I absolutely love it. Okay, bye-bye.
Did he call it? Did he call it Saltygate?
Yeah, Saltygate or something like that.
Well, he called it like the Saltygate affair.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So, well, let's put this to bed right now, you and I, in terms of what our actual motives are with our anti-Tim Hortons campaign.
It's hard to put into words, but I think we've been pretty clear. Is we want listeners abroad or local to Canada to know that it isn't great coffee and that their baked goods aren't necessarily fresh the way they're marketed as, and that Tim Hortons does not represent Canadian people or culture in any way.
Not anymore. Maybe in the early days when the product was good, you know, there was a lot of goodwill that Tim Hortons had within this country. Yeah. And we did all kind of attach ourselves to that brand as community centers, you know, places to go and meet your neighbors and drink coffee and have fresh baked goods. But it has not been that for so long.
We've canceled them.
Yeah,
now that there's cancel culture, they're done.
So what is this guy's name?
Mark, and he wants to travel across. It sounds like places from Lord of the Rings to get Timbits.
Yeah, so we need to encourage that. So I think what this is a great opportunity is for us. So Mark, if you're listening, which we hope you are, is that document your journey to Tim Hortons, to your first Tim Hortons, document the entire thing. And we want that content. So we want to see how your journey to Tim Hortons goes. And then once you get to the Wizard of Oz, we want to see your reaction for when the curtain is pulled and you see that the wizard is just a really bitter, stale tasting donut.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. We would love to have your reaction on the show, Mark. So get in touch. I will pay for your coffee and your donut if you will tell us all about how awful it is. If you have a positive review, we're not interested in hearing from you.
Not interested at all. Actually, no, we shouldn't say that. We should encourage no matter what you think when you get there. Now, here's the thing. Don't starve yourself getting there. Because if you're starving when you get there, it's going to alter the actual taste of what you're eating. So everything tastes good when you're starving and you haven't had something to eat or drink in days, right? So I don't know how your journey is going to be on the way there, but make sure you're well fed, you're in a normal state when you arrive, you're not delirious, you're not dehydrated. So, and then go in with a completely neutral frame of mind when you go in.
Speaking of a neutral state of mind, the next caller did not have a neutral state of mind as a result of something you did to her, Aaron.
Okay.
This is a good one.
All right.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. I just finished listening to your most recent Keep Canada Weird episode. And I was picking up groceries from Superstore. I live in Sydney. So I was picking up groceries and I turned my car off and the woman came to my window because I had to make a payment. And I just turned my car back on. And as soon as I turned my car on, all that was blaring was Aaron saying, I can't believe you have to, something along the lines of, I can't believe you have to tell people or people should know not to masturbate in someone else's house. And that was pretty much all that she heard We didn't speak. The rest of the interaction was quite awkward. Yeah, I just thought you guys might find that a little entertaining. All right, thanks. Bye.
Smooth move, Aaron.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, you turn on Keep Canada Weird. It's always a enter at your own risk. So
Yeah.
it's not my fault. I mean, you just going out into public at any point in time, whether it's grocery shopping or just walking down the street, you're opening yourself up to public humiliation, no matter what's going on, no matter where you are. So again, you just leaving your house that day is your fault. It's your fault. So it has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to take the weight of this. I know she's trying to take she's trying to take the negative of what happened to her, and put it on me, the blame. And I'm not taking it. And I'm turning it back on her. And I'm saying, look yourself in the mirror and, kind of deal with it. Deal with your own stuff. Like,
why does she surround herself with these people like us?
Yeah. And you should be a proud listener to masturbating topics on podcasts. Like, you should be proud of that. If it's something that you enjoy doing, don't let some grocery store worker stop you. Like, if that's the kind of content you like to listen to in your car,
wear it.
Yeah, turn it up, blast it.
Let's get to the next story. This one is a mystery that it would be great if we could solve it, because there is someone who owns a new home that is likely quite concerned about a discovery made basically on their doorstep. And this, I don't know if we set this to happen in the cosmos, because last week we did an episode of disturbing or unusual discoveries just days after we release the episode about weird and disturbing Canadian discoveries. In Barrie, Ontario, a woman finds an urn containing someone's ashes basically on her doorstep. Listen to this story.
Under a tree and near her front door, Monique Bennett has uncovered an unusual item outside her new home.
I thought, though this can't be real.
Bennett finding an urn filled with cremated remains sat hidden into the soil.
I thought it was the top of a patio light that was just left there. And when I looked at it, I thought, oh. I said, okay, well, we've got, someone's ashes here.
Those ashes almost 2 decades old, with the name Marquita Baruta engraved on the side. So Bennett got to work, hoping to locate a relative.
I called just one funeral home, not knowing if it was the right one. And the person called me back and he said, well, check to see if there's a metal tag on it that would give you an indication of which funeral home to contact. And there was none.
So Bennett called the previous tenants, who also weren't aware of the urn. So she turned to social media, hoping someone would know something about the mysterious woman she now shared a home with.
I think it's the right thing. We all experience loss in our life, and I've experienced a lot of loss, and so did my husband. So we just thought, it's not up to us to decide what to do with it.
And while her search to reunite the urn with the family continues, Bennett says it will have an honored place in the garden for as long as it takes.
I find that really unsettling.
Yeah. Do you have a theory? I've got one. Do you have one?
Not necessarily a theory, but I think she's doing the right thing of not just, dumping it out and throwing the urn in the garbage, as some people probably would. She is taking some care and is able to empathize with the family. She experienced loss in her life, as did her husband, as she described in the clip there. But with little more than a name and a year of death, it's going to be hard to find a trail of someone who died 20 years ago. As far as a theory, being kind of a logical, grounded-minded person, I think that somebody, maybe they weren't comfortable having an urn full of cremated remains in their house, so they left like their aunt, on the side of the step with plans of like moving it out of there, her out of there, the remains out of there, eventually maybe moved out and forgot or something. I don't know. It just seems like it has to be simply forgotten. I don't know why they would end up just sitting in the garden.
How long have they lived in this house? Do we know? Like, did they just
All
move in, or
I know it was described as recent. So let's say the last year they've been at most a year.
okay? Because the amount of time that they've been there is very important to any theory as to why this urn is there.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think that the person who's in this urn used to live in this house.
Okay.
And I think that the person who ended up with their ashes, like their relative or whoever was left in their lives to, like, kind of take care of that. Like, okay, you have the ashes, they're yours. And in the will is probably stated, or at least on their deathbed, they said, I want my ashes to be put in the house I grew up in. So it's your responsibility to take the ashes there when I die. Someone else lives there, though, the person's thinking to themselves. And the person who's dead or dying is like, well, that's what I want. So you got to do it. So then the person held on to this urn for a while, not wanting to go to a stranger's house to be like, hey, my aunt, she grew up here and she wants me to spread her ashes here. You mind if I spread them in your backyard? So the person in the middle of the night just kind of snuck up, plunked the urn there, and ran away. It's like, that's all I got. That's the best I can do.
Wow, that was an elaborate story for, like, you didn't know this story before earlier today, and you've come up with that elaborate of a theory, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. It's what I would do.
Well, you could leave the ashes without anyone ever knowing. What makes this stand out is
it's illegal to do that, though.
Is it?
It's illegal to spread ashes like anywhere that you're not authorized. I do believe that is correct. Someone was telling me that.
What if you were like,
because it's contamination.
Okay, the street is public. I wonder if you're allowed to just put them on the street and just stand there with a leaf blower towards the house. I mean, like, I put them on the street. You got to arrest this leaf blower.
Yeah. Well, see, if you're putting them on the street, the leaf blower is spreading your ashes to the places that dead person doesn't want to be.
That's true.
But yeah, I think they were like, you know what? I'm not going to spread the ashes. I'm just going to plunk the urn there. That's the best I can do. That's as far as I'm going. And then the rest is up to fate.
Yeah. And we know the urn has been there for a while, because in that clip she described thinking it like it was kind of down in the ground a little bit, and she thought it was like the top of an old like garden light or something, which I could, those weird solar lights people have in their gardens.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sunk in the ground enough that it was only the top of the urn sticking out. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but hopefully they find the family. No one's final resting place should be in somebody's garden. That's like, who is, this person in this bronze case in my garden.
I honestly, it's not our policy to Google anything while we're doing this.
You broke the only rule.
Well, I'm a rule breaker, man. This is what just a very quick, ignorant Google search had produced. So in Canada, there are no federal laws associated with the scattering of cremated remains. Scattering is generally permitted on any crown land and waterways, and a permit may not be required. It is important to keep in mind that you can do so generally within regulation and with permission. So permission just has to be granted of whoever owns the property.
Seems like, yeah. And I don't know if the person in that article, I don't know if they were the tenant or the owner. It seemed like the owner, because I can't imagine the tenant would be on the news like, I found this thing here. So
I don't know. Yeah.
If there's any updates, we will certainly share them with our listeners. Before we get into the final story, I have a duo of voice memos. This is interesting the way this worked out. Let's get into these.
Greetings, handsome Aaron Airport and Jordan. My name is Sage and I'm calling from Simi Valley, California. Me and my best friend are completely obsessed with your show. I like to refer to myself as the airport of the group, and my friend is definitely Jordan. But nonetheless, she made an important observation about the cat that got flown in the box. And she said, and I am with her on this, and I know that Aaron will be on this as well, that the cat is part of the animal uprising. And I believe the pilot of that plane is also part of the animal uprising. I am also a part of the animal uprising, and I tell my dogs every day, when you're ready, I'm ready. And I think that cat has there's some people on the inside. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more cats getting flown in by the day. I don't know their plan, but I know that there's something big going on. My dad has recently sent me videos. He lives in Cambria, California, and he has sent me videos of wild turkeys, and they are congregating in groups, and I have seen them talking together. And I think they're trying to get my dad to join the animal uprising, and I told my dad there's no better time than now, and he should join the turkeys. So
Yeah.
I will keep you posted on the turkeys. We should be seeing more cats coming in. I'm ready. I know it's coming, and talk to you soon.
She knows the uprising is coming. I wish her all the best with it too. Like, we're all going to just be hoping for the best once it officially starts. Just crossing our fingers, sitting in our basements with as much provisions as we can afford, and just praying.
Here's what worries me is we heard from Mark in the UK, who's like driving across the UK to go buy Timbits because we want to shut down Tim Hortons. Now we got Sage in California trying to convince her dad to join the turkeys because we preach beware the animal uprising. I just wonder if we're doing it right. It seems like, I don't know. It seems like maybe we need to like think our strategy through with both Tims and raising awareness of the animal uprising. But
well, with the animal uprising, all we can do is just speak our minds about it.
Yeah, it's true.
There's nothing else we can do outside of our own preparations.
We react. We're off the seat of our pants just talking about something that's happening around us.
Yeah. You know, those doomsday kind of societies. Like, I've joined one that's very focused on the animal uprising. So we're doing a lot of preparations.
So I had that voice memo from Sage. Not long after, I got a second kind of follow-up, not from Sage.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm from Simi Valley, California. My best friend and I absolutely enjoy listening to the podcast. We look forward to each week when it's released. We do recommend that you do more of the Keep Canada Weird episodes. My best friend Sage wants as much Aaron Airport content as she can get. She is the Aaron Airport of our friendship, and I am the Jordan. I just want to reiterate that she did call in and steal my cat idea. I believe that the cat being in the luggage is part of the animal uprising that is part of their plan to find devious ways to travel unnoticed. I also want to mention the incident where the dog and the truck were stolen. I believe it is actually an inside job planned by the dog himself. Personally, I think the dog was tired of the truck and wanted his owner to purchase a new vehicle as he wanted to impress other dogs, specifically female dogs. Since Sage called and stole my idea, it's only fair I share her take on the dog from a few episodes back where the owner was a victim of a scam where he got his jewelry stolen. Sage believes that there are the leaders of the animal uprising and have already taken the wife out, and that is why we never see her. Furthermore, I think we should do some investigating on where is his wife and look into the relationship with his dog and the owner. Does that man think he is a dog? If so, he may be more involved than we think. Lastly, we know that you want someone to do your job for you, and me and Sage are ready and up for the challenge. Although it would be quite a challenge being that we don't live in Canada, so we will have to work in close contact with the cat. We also have headshots ready for the website. Sage thinks that her name will look great in cursive writing. Thank you so much for all you do. You really bring so much laughter to our lives. I know this is thanks to the government. Thank you.
Oh my God.
I'm glad we got so much support from California.
That was just like two voicemails of pure madness. Like it's like we take a spin top and on a desk and you just spin it and it just goes off in all these different directions. And I feel like we've done that to Sage and her friends, and
Yeah.
we've just spun them, and now they're just off, like
Oh yeah, because
going into all these Keep Canada weird rabbit holes, and
yeah, Anna was like letting it rip too, because she was calling back to like, I don't know, like a couple months ago. It was the guy who got ripped off. He had his dog on his lap. The whole video, the whole news clip, and we were making fun of that.
yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome.
Well, I like to say officially, I'm a Sage fan.
Are you?
So
Like, I like Anna.
yeah. I'm a Sageite. I'm I turn the page for Sage. I age for Sage. Whatever else rhymes with
Bananas
Sage.
for all the Annas, but especially the one from California.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get our own fan websites going for Sage and Anna
with their headshots.
With their headshots, not ours, or with our headshots actually.
We got the last story to get into here. This story I absolutely love for a variety of reasons. It involves like collectible toys, which I don't know, I'm into. I can't help it. I'm a G.I. Joe fan. It takes place in my city, Halifax. And it involves, like, indirectly, it involves the housing crisis we're facing here in Nova Scotia. I titled this section, "The Landlord versus the Tenant's Cars." I'm going to read this article to you. A Nova Scotia tenant has been awarded $16,217 by a Halifax small claims court, including $15,000 for damage to a toy car collection. The trouble begins with the landlord attempting to terminate the tenancy of a Wesley McLaughlin back in 2022. The landlord had a variety of problems with McLaughlin, namely complaints that he was fixing cars in his unit. The landlord ultimately changed the locks and put all Wes's stuff in boxes. Wes, in return, took a complaint to the tenancy board. In a resulting hearing, the board determined that the landlord had violated the Residential Tenancies Act by changing the locks and packing up his items back in June of 2022. McLaughlin initially, at the first hearing, was awarded $1,371 for his security deposit, moving expenses, and some damage to furniture, but his claim in that hearing for $15,000 to $20,000 of damage to his toy car collection was denied, as he was unable to prove his loss. But things are about to get much more complicated. The landlord appealed the original case, where he was owed, $1,300 and change, which leads to a small claims court adjudicator taking on the matter and treating it as a new hearing, one that's going to end with a completely different result. Photographic evidence provided showed a very, very, very large collection of toy cars and collectible figures on the walls and shelves of Wes's apartment. During the hearing, the tenant, Wes, provided a report from a Jimmy Romaine, who said that he had been appraising antique toys, including Hot Wheels, since 1998. Additionally, evidence had been presented showing the collectible items were packed in a garbage bag and a box with heavy items placed on top of them. The Hot Wheels appraiser indicated that Wes's collection would have been worth in the area of $21,000 if it was in mint condition, but is now worth in the ballpark of $4,000 because of the damage. The landlord's actions, and this is according to the judge, the landlord's action had all but destroyed the value of these belongings, and as a result, awarded Wes $16,217, which included $15,000 for loss of value to the Hot Wheels toy collection. So that's quite the turn.
Oh yeah, unexpected.
Well, why would if a landlord loses like something in the residential tenancies, hearings, and they're owed $1,300, I'm surprised he would even waste his time appealing that.
Why? It's not worth it. Like, your lawyer's fees, your own time, like $1,300 is not enough to go for small claims for.
Yeah, but he did, and now he's paying 16 some. And I guess from the tenant's perspective, named Wes, he got almost like a first try at the case at the Residential Tenancies Board, or whatever it's called, and he got to see how that played out. it didn't go his way because he wasn't able to prove the decreased value of his toy car collection. So when it's now going to small claims court, he has the upper hand because he's like, this is take two. I just got to correct, what I did wrong with my case the first go round. So I think this landlord was a nut to appeal this and give this guy a second chance to get that money that I think he deserves.
Oh yeah, the landlord, he really at the end of the day got what he deserved, because then he actually ended up paying so much more.
Mhm.
Yeah, this landlord sucks. That's just the only.
He sucks. And I think this whole thing with, if you're someone who collects vintage antique stuff, the condition of the packaging and, that makes such a huge difference in the value. If you're someone who just like hoards these collectible figures, and this one day your landlord illegally evicts you and puts all that stuff in bags with like heavy stuff on top of it and it's all squished, man, you'd lose your mind.
Oh,
And
and it's not even just what they're physically worth, these collectible cars. It's the amount of time, like the human effort that goes into collecting and creating collections like that. It's extensive.
yeah, I'm glad Wes is getting his money. And this landlord, I think it serves as a warning to, if you're ever gonna like enter a tenant's place, especially if you're gonna touch their stuff and pack it up and evict them, man, you better know what you're doing and do it right by the letter of the law. Because it turned out that this landlord, in the whole case, wrote on the fact that it was an illegal eviction that he shouldn't have done. And yeah, he should pay every cent he's responsible for as a result of it, including like, I think, well, I guess small claims cases, they don't award punitive damages. It's just like you need to prove your loss. But I think, this tenant West, with everything he's had to go through, he should be getting some money for all that as well. It's just wrong.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad this worked out the way it did. This is a true happy ending to a story, because not a lot of our stories have happy endings on this show.
The Hot for Teacher one probably has a whole lot of happy endings.
No, she's not giving people massages.
I know, but the people who are like the end users of the
I
content.
feel like, yeah. But the term happy ending, I think, is very specific to, you're getting a massage and then you get a happy ending. I hope somebody's at the grocery store parking lot right now listening to this with the radio cranked.
Yeah, and the person thinks they're listening to like an audiobook about, I don't know, sex work.
Yeah.
So explain it again.
It's like, you're back again in the superstore parking lot. Like, last time you were here, you were blaring masturbating content, and now it's all about happy endings.
But yeah, you're right. I think the term like happy ending is generally associated with the whole massage thing. What I was intending to say is something like the people who digest the content created by Ava James on OnlyFans at the end of their time using the content they're probably happy.
Yeah, maybe, but sometimes, you know what? I'm not going to get into
it. Okay.
I actually know nothing about OnlyFans. I know nothing about erotic content in general. I am just an animal-fearing man that just waits for the inevitable uprising to swarm over us and cleanse the earth of all of the wrongdoings of humanity.
This episode is not going to end with a happy ending. I got something for us here. One last voice memo. And this one is, I'm excited to hear what you think. You probably don't hear this side of the show, but I often, like after our recordings, like after our discussion, when you listen to the episode, it ends with me thanking people for listening. And I'll often say, a couple things. But then I end with, until next time, take care of each other. Take care of yourself, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird. I end with that, and a listener had some feedback on that.
Hi, Jordan. It's Kayla phoning from just outside Calgary, Alberta, originally from Nova Scotia. I am just phoning because I heard your request for more voicemails, and I have been holding off on sending this for quite some time and just kind of keeping it bottled within me, but I thought since you asked, I would send, so here we go. Something that really bothers me about your podcast, and I do love your podcast. I love you. I love Aaron. However, something that is bothering me is that at the end of every Keep Canada Weird podcast episode, you end with, until next time. In my head, Until Next Time reminds me of Keep Fit with Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod. They always end their videos with Until Next Time, Keep Fit. Can you please change your ending? Thank you.
And she's right. I went and I listened to Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod, who were the hosts of Body Break. And they did end with like, until next time, keep fit and have fun. I never considered that. I wonder if like, cause I would have been brought up listening to or hearing Body Break like on TV and stuff in the background for my whole childhood. I never thought about that. When I end the show, like until next time, take care of each other. Maybe I just like unintentionally just pulled from Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod. And I think Kayla's right. And I need to change it.
I don't think Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod invented Until Next Time, though.
But honestly, if you listen to their delivery and mine, it's not just the words, it's the setup and the like the cadence of it. It's like the exact same.
But what's wrong with that, though? I mean,
could it be a nod?
You steal from the greats, right? You know, if you were stealing from somebody who was a hack, then I'd be like, yeah, don't do that. But you're stealing from Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod, Body Break. That is the pinnacle of Canadian television, I think. And this caller should be celebrating the fact that you say until next time and the way you say it and the delivery, because they really brought that into Canadian TV, and then you're running with it as, you know, honoring what they did for all of us, keeping us fit and healthy and giving us all that advice. They need to be honored more than what they are.
And maybe this is my like unconscious but subtle way to tip my hat to them each episode I create.
Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I was dead set on changing it before you said that. And now I'm kind of leaning towards keeping it.
Keep it.
What I'm going to do when I finish up this episode of the podcast, I'm just going to see what happens. And that's what I'm going to stick with.
I think you should end this episode of the podcast with a clip from Body Break of them doing it.
You know what? It just hit me. I'm misunderstanding Kayla. So I end the episodes with until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, etc. But I'm also forgetting that I also end it with Aaron, until next time.
Yeah, you and I both do that. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. So there's a lot of Hal Johnson and Joanne McLeod in these episodes.
That's fine with me. There needs to be more, in my opinion.
Aaron, until next time.
Jordan, until next time.
Keep fit.
Have fun.
Is there anything else that they're saying?
I'm going to say, Jordan, until next time, always say, until next time.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I keep Canada weird, but let us also call out to you for greater support in this mission. If something weird happens in your neck of the woods, please let us know. We'd love to hear about it and respond to it in an upcoming episode. And the best way to share that kind of news is via a voice memo sent at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. We hope to hear from you. Now, before we part, let me give you a bit of a heads up about something we're doing. For those of you closely following the work Aaron and I are doing here, you may be interested in hearing that we've added a separate Keep Canada Weird podcast feed in which we'll archive all the past episodes in this series, as well as post bonus content related to Keep Canada Weird. Now, to start wrapping this up, I'm going to give thanks. A big thanks to Aaron for sharing another evening with me and with you, the listeners of Nighttime. A big shout out to the internet's favorite cult leader, Unicole, who provides this series' intro and outro voiceovers. And lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you to every one of you who are listening to Nighttime, as without your interest and your support, this show would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now, on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the Nighttime Podcast Premium feed. Michelle, Andrea, and the Second Line Parade, thank you for your generous support. For anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can help me out in a variety of ways. A premium feed subscription costs just a couple dollars a month, and both funds the creation of the show while giving you access to an ad-free 2-day early release with a full back catalog of episodes. And if you can't go premium, you can still help the show by simply sharing this episode on social media and letting some like-minded friends know what we're doing here. If anyone listening has any story ideas, wants to give feedback on the show, or would like to contribute a voice memo to be aired and responded to in an upcoming episode, you can do all that and more at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. I hope to hear from you. But until then, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let me know if you see anything weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.